continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Connolly as Norman Harrington.
Stephen Cord, attorney at law, has been a man with an ordered life. Today, Rodney Harrington has tried to tell him a story that threatens to shatter that order. A story he finds almost impossible to believe. That he and Ann Howard are brother and sister.
Rodney?
Excuse me.
Stephen? We have to talk.
Come in.
I was afraid that I might not be able to find you. I tried to call you this morning, but no one answered. So I went to your home, and when you weren't there, I found something this morning in my father's trunk. Would you mind taking a look at it?
Did you bring it with you?
Why couldn't you tell me? Why didn't anyone tell me? Is there something so terrible about me? What were you all so afraid I'd do?
Ann.
If it was so hard for you, so distasteful to acknowledge me all these years, don't feel that you have to start acting like a brother now.
Ann, believe me,
Believe you? Oh, Stephen, I always believed you. I believed you when you said you wanted to help me. I believed you when you stood by me at my father's funeral. I always believed you. Maybe that's why it hurts so much. I remember when I first came to see you, you didn't want to have anything to do with me. You couldn't wait to brush me off. And now I know why.
Oh, I should have known. Ann, I should have known, but I didn't. Believe me, Ann, I didn't know.
Oh, Steve.
Ann, I didn't know. Rodney just tried to tell me. I thought he was lying.
Rodney knew?
He heard Martin Payton saying something in the house, and I just couldn't believe it. It seemed so... My father. I spent my whole life wondering who he was, how much of him was in me. Did I measure up? Yeah, I spent the first few years competing with a phantom I created. And then for a long time, I thought Martin Payton was my benchmark. And now it turns out that this was the man I wanted to know. Brian Cord. I stood by his grave and watched him buried. And I didn't even know he was my father.
You'd have liked him, Stephen. He was a good man.
Was he? I don't know if I could like him at all, Ann. I don't know if I could like anyone who could Bring someone into this world and then turn around and walk away?
What about the woman who raised you? Can you love her? Because I don't know that I can. You never saw Father, met him face to face. But if you had, I think he would have broken the silence. That's the kind of man he was. He would have told you. He couldn't have looked you in the eye and lied. But she has seen me. She's talked to me. How could she not say anything? I don't think that I'll ever be able to forgive her.
I'm sorry, Anne. I can't defend her actions. I know she's not basically an affectionate person, but I never thought she'd be capable of just turning her back on someone completely. I don't know what to think. You spend 28 years adjusting to something, and in 30 minutes it's all changed.
There's so many questions.
Not now, Anne. If Mother and Martin Payton kept quiet this long, there's a reason. Something that old man will guard with his life if he has to. I guess if we had to wait all this time to find each other, we could afford to wait a little longer to find out why we were separated. We can at least give the truth a chance to work for us.
I don't know when I've ever felt so tired. I'd like to find a spot and just not move for 1 week.
Why don't you go home and get some rest?
Right.
Can you call me this afternoon?
Sure. Would you like to keep this?
May I?
Please.
Funny. It doesn't look like much of a legacy, but it's all I've ever wanted from anybody. Just the truth. Lee?
I was having a cup of coffee in the drugstore. Saw you passing by.
Leave me alone.
You know, I thought maybe you were up to something. You are up to something, aren't you, brother?
I don't like anyone taking my arm. That means anyone.
Well, you'd better take mine, because I don't trust you anymore.
I don't care whether you trust me anymore or not.
For all I know, you were up to something. Something else stupid, like maybe taking out an ad in a newspaper saying, my brother Lee Weber deliberately pushed me off the bluff. That my brother is responsible for me being blind.
If I thought it would stop you, I'd do it.
I'm going to protect myself, if that's what you mean.
Lee, you're so frightened and so scared of what people are going to do to you that you strike out at me, at Ann Howard, at anyone. And you think of it as protecting yourself. You've got to be stopped, Lee. You're so scared and so full of hate that you're dangerous.
And you're supposed to be different, huh? Well, I know you better than you think I do. You're so full of hate, you... We've got the same blood. The same blood, and that makes us the same.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I am the same. If that's true, then maybe it's a good thing that I am blind.
Are you coming with me, or do I have to take that cane away from you?
If you're going to do anything, you'd better do it now, because I'm going to Stephen Cord's office, and I'm going to tell him why he's got to protect Ann Howard.
Well, you'd better be kidding. You stupid fool, you could have been killed.
got your message. I came as quickly as I could.
Maybe I shouldn't have asked you to open my father's trunk. I found something in it. The kind of thing that everyone hangs on to. It was my father's old art school diploma. It had his real name on it. Brian Cord.
Cord?
Stephen is my brother. We found out we even have the same birth date. He's my twin brother.
Well, he doesn't even look like you.
Oh, he takes after my father. Our father.
And your father let you come back to Peyton Place without telling you that? Why?
I don't know why. I only know that he never wanted me to come back here. We even quarreled about it.
You remember the day you came back here from Boston when you, here at the hospital? Mr. Payton went out of his way to see you. He wanted to find out something from you.
And he lied to me, Mike. He must have known my father.
He must have. Why? Why would he lie to you?
Why would my father lie? They've kept Stephen and me apart all these years. What made them do it?
I don't know. There has to be an answer. But what's important is, no matter what the answers are, it won't make any difference. All that matters is our future, huh?
You always sound so sure.
I am sure. I'm also sure that if you don't let me make my rounds, you're going to be supporting an out-of-work physician.
And if I don't get back to the bookstore, we'll both be out of a job.
Look, today when you finish at the bookstore, go right to the cottage and wait for me there. And this time, please use the front door. Come on.
Chris?
Well, Lee, you lucked out. Mr. Cord was not in. All I could do was get his secretary to type up a statement for me to sign.
You signed a statement?
That's right, I signed a statement.
You're coming with me, understand?
Hey, Chris, it's me, Norm. I've been looking all over for you. I hope you didn't forget we're supposed to go sailing today.
Beat it.
We're supposed to go sailing today.
I'm gonna step on you, little boy.
Come on, Chris, get in.
You know, one night, when I know there's not going to be any interruptions, I'm going to bend that long nose of yours, boy.
Big brothers can be a drag sometimes. What was it about?
I appreciate what you did, Norman.
It wasn't me, it was Mrs. Carson. She wanted me to get you away from Lee. She was pretty shook up. After I saw him, I understand why.
Well, thanks anyway. Norman, would you do me a favor and drop me at Dr. Rossi's house?
His house?
I have an appointment with him.
Come on, Chris, you don't have to snow me. Dr. Rossi's gonna be at the hospital all day, and I know that as a fact.
It's a personal matter, Norman. I need some advice, and he said I could come out to the house.
Okay, but I don't like leaving you up there alone.
Norm, I know that beach area like the back of my hand.
Okay, forget it. Oh, no, wait a minute. You sure you'll be all right?
Sure, I'm sure. If I weren't, I wouldn't ask you to drop me there.
Well, okay. I'll take you up.